Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call to order the October 28th Shelby Township Planning Commission meeting. Ask Acting Secretary Casali to please call the roll.
Certainly. Mr. Snyder?
Here.
Mr. Long?
Here.
Mrs. Baker?
Here.
Mr. Leroux?
Here.
Mr. Apone?
Here.
Chairman Moffett is absent, and Acting Chair Mr. Turner is present, and we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Also with us tonight, we have our attorney, Bob Kirk, our planner, Julie Misich, and our associate planner, Nick Fiore. First item on our agenda is approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, approval of the minutes for October 14th, 2024 meeting.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The first item under correspondence is a notice of update the master plan for Oakland Township. Julie?
Yep, thank you, Chairman Turner. This is just a notice to receive and file. Charter Township of Oakland earlier this year indicated to us that they're going to be updating their master plan. They have done that. Their draft master plan is available on their website for us to review. The only area of the township that abuts Charter Township of Oakland is the northwest corner, and there's no changes proposed for that area. It's just to remain recreational.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? If not, a motion to receive and file.
So moved.
Support.
Motioned and seconded to receive and file. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Let the record reflect Secretary Moore is now attending the meeting. Welcome, Raquel. Under site plans, we have one site plan, two special, and two public hearings. The first is site plan number 24-29, Mundir Zaire, 45440 DeQuinder Road, located at the southeast corner of DeQuinder Road and West Utica, a building addition for a gas station and convenience store. This is a re-review. Is the applicant here? Come on down, sir. Let us know what you've got on your revised plan.
All right. Jim Bauer. I'm here representing Mr. Zaire and Terry Measle, the architect. Okay, so I assume you received the description of updates? Mm-hmm. Okay, there were 12 items on there that the Office of Planning had sent out. So we removed the word that said remove on the original site plan because that was taken from when they were going to make this big addition. So those are all staying as is. I've also included the 105-foot setback lines on both DeQuinder Road and West Utica Road. They've been added to the site plan. Per the Office of Planning, I did show some shrubs and hedges along the parking area that abuts the DeQuinder and West Utica Road area. The exterior walls, I talked to the owner, and the plan currently is to remove the existing painted brick and re-brick the building. Remove the overhangs and put the ephes up above the 9-foot elevation. The back, that's on 3 sides. On the back, they are structural steel panels that are the supporting members for the roof. So we were just going to leave those painted on the back side. For your ordinance 3.33.E.3, it says that any structural members that are exposed can be painted. Okay. The only thing that we had some problems with is I know that the required street trees were 9, and the Office of Planning also pointed out that the planting areas are very small on DeQuinder and also on West Utica. There is a little corner on the south side of the south driveway where we could probably put a tree, and also on the corner itself, there's a triangular planting area, but probably 1, maybe 2 trees there. My concern is that when the people pull up, because of the emergency vehicles coming out of the hospital to the south, is some of the trees might block someone's view. Well, you have a 25-foot rule anyway, don't you, from nothing over 30 inches from the, for 25 feet. So we could probably put a tree or 2 there so that, it's a safety issue is what we feel. So basically, we could probably get about 3 trees on there. I also added a note for no outdoor storage as requested, and to screen the rooftop unit as requested. There is already an ADA space out in front of the building, so I just made sure I noted that, and there's an existing ramp up to the sidewalk there. The unpaved gravel drive in the rear, it goes over the septic field that's in the back, so we obviously can't pave that. And then item 10 was we're aware that the building needs some maintenance, you know. And then number 11, they had a question about the scale. I fixed the scale, it was off just a little bit, but I did make it, it's printed half size, so it's 1 inch equals 40 feet instead of 20, like it's noted there, because that was for a full-size sheet. And then there was nothing on item 12. So that's all the things that I've addressed and updated the plan.
You did very well, thank you. And I also think what you did from the last meeting, and I'm looking at the renderings of the building,
Yes,
you actually, I think that's going to really make a difference on that corner once this upgrade is done.
right. Yeah, last time you called them renderings, they were just elevations.
Yep.
You know, typical architectural elevations. But yeah, so we included some renderings.
We appreciate you taking seriously that recommendation.
Okay.
Nick, you want to do your review, please?
Yes, thank you, Acting Chairman Turner. So as Mr. Bauer stated, they did some modifications to the site plan that was last reviewed at the September 9th Planning Commission meeting. The facade, as Mr. Turner also noted, is significantly changed from the original proposal. There's windows, there's brick, and the IFAS is limited just above the entryway, which I think is in line with the zoning district regulations there that would apply to it. The other item that was recommended to be addressed by the Planning Commission was the landscape into the site. As Mr. Bauer stated, they are proposing a knee wall of shrubs and hedges along the street frontage there to screen the parking areas, which is in line with the ordinance. It still does require approval by the Planning Commission, but the other option would be to do a brick wall, and I think this does satisfy the intent of screening that parking area. The last item that was required to be addressed was the tree plantings. As Mr. Bauer stated, they are going to be seeking a variance for a reduction in the number of trees planted there. Planning staff did recommend exploring some areas to put some trees in, which on the northeast and southwest of the site, there's probably some options there. That grassy area where the sign is might become a little more difficult because of as Mr. Bauer stated, the clear vision triangle requirements and the sightline safety issues there. But there are some options to plant some trees there. I think we can come to a reasonable solution there when they seek a variance. The other variance they would be required would be the encroachment into the front yard setback from West Utica, and that is for the addition itself, but the building itself already encroaches into that setback, and the setback reduction would be no more than 13 feet. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Any commissioners have any questions? Hearing none, a motion would be in order.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Snyder,
move to approve site plan number 24-28, Mundir Zaires Marathon, Inc., 45440 DeQuinder Road, parcel number 23-07-31-351-002, located on the southeast corner of DeQuinder Road in West Utica. Building addition for a gas station and convenience store subject to all submission of the revised plans addressing all department comments and approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals for all required variances.
Support.
motion by Commissioner Snyder, supported by Commissioner Rapone. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Rapone,
Yes.
Commissioner Larray,
Yes.
Commissioner Long,
Yes.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Casale,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item is a conditional rezoning and site plan special land use number 24-27 for Guy Rizzo, 55133 Van Dyke Avenue, located north of 25 Mile Road, west side of Van Dyke Avenue. Proposed rezoning from C1 local retail business to C2 linear retail business for a restaurant with a drive-through, retail building, and office space. I'll ask the Secretary this is a public hearing, so I'll ask the Secretary to read the notice as published.
Charter Township of Shelby, notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given that the Planning Commission for the Charter Township of Shelby, Macomb County, Michigan, has received a request for approval of the following conditional rezoning and site plan, special land use. Applicant, RFT Group LLC, Guy Rizzo, 65 Macomb Place, Mount Clemens, Michigan, 48043. Proposed zoning and use, rezoning from C1 local retail business to C2 linear retail business and special land use for a proposed restaurant with drive-through, retail building, and office space. Location, 55133 Van Dyke Avenue, north of 25 Mile Road, west of Van Dyke Avenue. Conditional rezoning and site plan, special land use 24-27. Sidwell number 23-07-04-476-005. Legal description is as follows, as written in the public notice. Planning Commission will meet on Monday, October 28th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Shelby Township Municipal Building, Boardroom, 52700 Van Dyke Avenue, Shelby Township, Michigan, 48316-586-726-7243, for the purpose of holding a public hearing on the conditional rezoning and site plan special land use application. The application for the conditional rezoning and site plan special land use may be examined at the Planning and Zoning Department in the municipal building Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Written comments may be submitted to the Planning Commission at the above address prior to the hearing. Oral comments will be heard during the public hearing. This notice is provided pursuant to the requirements of Michigan Public Act 110 of 2006 as amended. Shelby Township Planning Commission, Jerome Moffett, Chair, Raquel Moore, Secretary. This was published in the Shelby Utica News on October 9th, 2024. There were 46 property owners, 2 applicants, and 9 utilities were notified by first-class mail on October 8th, 2024.
Thank you, Raquel. Mr. Kirk, does the notice meet all legal requirements as stipulated in local ordinance and state statute?
Yes, it does.
Raquel, did we get any correspondence on this?
No, we did not, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we did not. Very good. Format for the public hearing will be as follows. The petitioner or his or her representative will give a presentation stating the reasons for the rezoning. Commissioners may then ask questions of the petitioner. The floor will be open to the public. You can come down, let us know your feelings one way or the other. And then the petitioner may make any concluding remarks. Is the petitioner here? Come on down, ma'am. I need your name and address, and after you're finished, please make sure you sign in over there, okay?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Becky Klein. I'm with PEA Group, 58105 Van Dyke Avenue, Washington Township. I'm here representing RFT Group, who is the owner of the property in question and the genitor of the proposal that we have this evening. So what we're looking at is a 5-acre piece of land at the northwest corner of 25 Mile in Van Dyke. It's just north of the 7-Eleven on that corner. Undeveloped currently, and it is crossed at the northwest corner by a county drain, the Lawson Drain, and there is some woodlands at the western edge of the property. And the site does butt up against residential on the west and at the southwest corner. Along the south line to the east, it's adjacent to C1 zoning. What we're requesting to do is a mixed-use development on this property, which will consist of 3 buildings, 2 strip retail buildings up at the frontage of Van Dyke Avenue with traditional type of offerings. The most southern unit of the second building will have a drive-through for a restaurant to lease that tenant, and then there will be a central access drive leading to the rear of the property with a large building that will be a restaurant, and there will be some additional office and retail space available within that building. There will be a cross-access agreement between this parcel and the medical building to the south that's just behind the 7-Eleven, so there'll be cross-access to 25 Mile on the property. What we're looking at is a pretty upscale development. We've got some architectural elevations for you to consider. They're using high-end finishes, what I think is a very nice enhanced architectural look, which should add to the character that Shelby Township wants to have in that region. The reason that we are asking for a rezone is that they want to put a fairly sizable restaurant in the property, and the existing zoning doesn't support a restaurant of over 5,000 square feet. So that is why we're requesting the conditional rezone. And then, of course, we're requesting a special land use in order to have the drive-through included on the strip mall. We are requesting one variance. According to the ordinances, we're required to have a wall and a fairly substantial green buffer between this property and the residential that would be on the west side and the southwest. Because of the existing constraints, what we'd like to do in lieu of that is we want to leave the drain pretty much untouched, leave it in its natural state, and the corner behind it will remain woodlands. We'd like to construct our detention pond that will also act as a compensatory flood basin between our parking lot and the residences to the west and the southwest, and that will be very heavily landscaped and will serve as a green buffer between our development and the residential areas. So we think it meets the intent of the ordinance, although it does not quite meet the letter, and that is the reason we're requesting a variance on that item. I think that is a pretty good summary of what we're looking to do. I'd be happy to answer any particular questions that you might have, and really appreciate your attention this evening.
Okay, thank you. Any commissioners have any questions for the petitioner? Hearing none, okay, you can sit down right now, ma'am. We're moving on to the public hearing. This is the only public hearing the Planning Commission will hold on this rezoning request. Your remarks will be entered into the record for Township Board evaluation. The Planning Commission is a recommending body. The Township Board will take into consideration these comments when making the final decision on the rezoning. At this time, anyone in the audience who wishes to come down and speak for or against this rezoning is free to do so. Anybody? Once? Twice? Come on down, sir. Thought we were going to get away.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Frank Mancini. I'm the owner of Shelby Professional Center. It's adjacent to the south end of the property. We have been in discussions with Mr. Rizzo and his development company. Nothing has yet to be into an agreement. I don't have a problem with the development to the north of me. It's just that nothing has been decided yet as an agreement for a cross-access easement.
So there's an agreement in principle, nothing in writing or anything
No, no
yet?
principle, no agreement yet, just a discussion.
Just a discussion, okay. Very well, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Make sure you sign in, Mr. Mancini. Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak for or against? This time going once, twice, 3 times. Ma'am, come on up, back up for a second. We're going to get to the planner in a moment, but the question on the cross-access agreement, it's not exactly what we heard, right? There's a discussion?
Yeah,
Preliminary?
apparently, I actually was not aware of the progress of those negotiations. The intent is to provide a cross-access. If we're not able to do it, the site will still function.
Right, but I mean, I just wanted to
Yes,
see if you knew anything further. Okay.
I don't, Mr. Rizzo is here if you want to ask him anything directly.
Well, we'll see. In 1 second.
Sure.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions at this point? All right, ma'am, you can sit back down. Nick, you want to give us your review?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Turner. So Ms. Klein did a great job explaining the site plan component of the request before you. So I'll cover some more of the overarching goals of the area. The site plan proposal is for a mixed-use shopping center, accommodates a range of commercial and office uses. There's 3 multi-tenant commercial buildings proposed. Where the site is proposed at, it's in what the master plan designates as a community commercial node. Essentially, this node is intended to give residents the day-to-day shopping needs that they're looking for, commercial needs of the residents. It aims to coalesce these needs into one succinct area rather than spreading them out across, the Van Dyke corridor. Some of the variables that go into considering these areas are the frontage that the properties have along a major road, the size of the properties, and the amount of traffic that is generated by the uses proposed, and the amount of traffic that exists along the properties. The proposal that's before the board, or before the commission, I'd say satisfies the intent of this master plan designation. It's a fairly large commercial development. It's pretty well in line with the surrounding developments, namely the Vincent Joe's Vitale Plaza right across Van Dyke there. Some of the properties to the south are more of the smaller scale retail. Speaking of that, the property is currently zoned C1. That is our lowest intensity commercial district. We allow a lot of small scale commercial uses there. Think your convenience stores, your carry out restaurants, some office uses. And the biggest difference between the C1 and the C2 zone is the intensity of those uses and what's allowed. As Ms. Klein said, the restaurants are limited in scope and limited in size in the C1 district. So going up to a C2 district allows a larger restaurant with a larger footprint that can serve a larger clientele. The C2 district also opens up the property to a larger array of uses that are more commercial, uses that are more apt to generate nuisances like traffic, noise, things like that. One of those is the special land use request, which is a drive-through. It's a special land use because the site has a proximity to a single-family zoned residential property. With that, though, the drive-through is pretty far removed from that residential property, and it's also screened by the westernmost building inside the proposed development. So going from a C1 to a C2 district, I would say is supported not only by the master plan, but kind of the features of the property itself, the depth of the property, the width of the property, and the surrounding land uses. So this property, this development did go through a preliminary review. So we hammered out a lot of the larger regulatory concerns for the site plan. And with that, there's really not too much left. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward site plan that meets a lot of the intent of the C2 district. So the major thing there is the screening that's required between the properties. The single-family residential is a protected use in this case, so we would require a 25-foot buffer zone, which is provided. We require 3 trees per 20 feet of frontage between the properties, which is provided. And we also require 4 shrubs per 20 feet, which is not provided, and a 6-foot-high continuous decorative wall, which is not provided. They've outlined that they want to seek a variance for those 2 last items. I think it's reasonable to forego the decorative masonry wall because it gives it more of a natural transition from the commercial to the residential area with that retention pond and the plantings there. I would encourage you guys to look into planting these shrubs, though, to kind of build into that natural environment and get some more plantings there for the township. Other than that, the only other comments I have are that a tree permit will be required for the removal of any trees in the property, which I'm sure you're aware. There's the large number of regulated trees there. And the choice in facade materials does require planning commission approval. The zoning ordinance requires brick or stone or better for facade materials. However, I will say that the variety of facades that they have proposed with this development is very attractive, and I think it does satisfy that intent of that commercial zoning district at 3.33A1. Besides that, the cross-access agreement that was noted should go from a discussion to an agreement between the property owners. That would be good moving forward, that we can solve that and prevent that from being an issue. Besides that, it's a pretty straightforward site plan. The biggest concern is just going from a C1 to a C2 with that special land use.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Mrs. Klein, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I'm confident we can get the shrubs in that are required by the ordinance, and then that would just leave us seeking relief for that screen wall at the rear. Other than that, I believe we can comply with everything that's asked, and we will do so.
Okay, great to hear that. Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? If not, I have, go ahead, Mr. Long.
Where exactly is your driveway going to come out on Van Dyke? Is that going to be across from Vincent Joe's or a little north or a little south of that? I know it's really close right there.
It's fairly close in alignment. You can actually see a shadow of it. They are almost directly across from one another, but they are offset by maybe 10, 15 feet.
I'm just concerned with the amount of traffic coming in and out of there. If there might be more, I don't know, maybe more dangerous, if you will. That's just one of my concerns.
Sure.
Anybody? Lisa, go ahead.
Well, along that note with Mr. Long's question, does that need, did that get approved by Macomb County Department of Roads, or does it need approval?
Yes, so this project was reviewed by the Macomb County Department of Roads, and they offered no comment on the proposal.
Okay,
So they were not concerned with it.
thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing none, a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
Support.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Planning Commission's decision on this must be based on the following: the practicality of this rezoning request and the effect on the surrounding area, the owner's right to use his land, do current growth and development patterns warrant this rezoning, and is the proposed rezoning in accordance with the master plan. The Planning Commission may recommend approval, disapproval, or we can table this tonight to evaluate the information we've received. Motion is in order.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Moore?
I move to recommend approval to the Township Board for conditional rezoning and site plan special land use application number 24-27 for Guy Rizzo on behalf of RFT Group 55133 Van Dyke Avenue, parcel number 23-07-04-476-005, generally located north of 25 Mile Road, west of Van Dyke Avenue. Proposed rezoning from C1, local retail business, to C2, linear retail business for a restaurant with drive-through, retail buildings, and an office space based on the following. Number one, the proposed zoning is largely consistent with the existing zoning and development pattern along the Van Dyke Avenue corridor. Number two, the change in zoning would not adversely impact any abutting development. Number three, the change in zoning is not out of scale with the needs of the community. Number four, the proposed rezoning and land use does not adversely impact the public health, safety, welfare of the residents, and nor will it interfere with or discourage the appropriate development and use of adjacent land and buildings or unreasonably affect their value. Number five, the proposed use relates harmoniously with the physical and economic aspects of adjacent land uses. Number six, the submission of 8 copies of revised site plans is required, incorporating applicable review comments from the Planning Commission, township departments, and engineers. And number seven, the applicant must seek review and approval for the requested variance to the screening and buffer requirements. The Planning Commission offers a favorable recommendation to forego the required decorative screen wall.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Moore, supported by Commissioner Snyder. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Commissioner Moore?
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Commissioner Long?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Casale?
Yes.
Commissioner Apone?
Yes.
Commissioner Larray?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Motion carries. You're all set. Thank you. Ms. Klein, did you sign in? Okay, thank you. The next item on our agenda is a conditional rezoning and site plan special land use number 20-04 for Phil Ruggieri, Shaner 26 Properties LLC, vacant parcel located on the southwest corner of 26 Mile Road and Shaner Road. Proposed rezoning from R1, single-family residential, to C2, linear retail commercial, and site plan special land use for a proposed gas station with a drive-through. Can I ask Secretary Moore to read the notice as published? This is a public hearing, so go ahead.
Charter Township of Shelby, notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given that the Planning Commission for the Charter Township of Shelby, Macomb County, Michigan, has received a request for approval of the following conditional rezoning and site plan special land use. Applicant, Shaner 26 Properties LLC, Philip Ruggieri, 43231 Shaner Road, Sterling Heights, Michigan, 48313. Proposed zoning and use, rezoning from R1, one-family residential, to C2, linear retail business, and special land use for a gas station with drive-through. Location, it's a vacant parcel currently, southwest corner of 26 Mile Road and Shaner Road. Conditional rezoning and site plan special land use 24-04. Sidwell number 23-07-02-200-034. Legal description is as follows according to our public hearing notice. The Planning Commission will meet on Monday, October 28, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Shelby Township Municipal Building, Boardroom, 52700 Van Dyke Avenue, Shelby Township, Michigan, 48316, 586-726-7243 for the purpose of holding a public hearing on the conditional rezoning and site plan special land use application. The application for the conditional rezoning and site plan special land use may be examined at the Planning and Zoning Department in the municipal building Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Written comments may be submitted to the Planning Commission at the above address prior to the hearing. Oral comments will be heard during the public hearing. This notice is provided pursuant to the requirements of Michigan Public Act 110 of 2006, as amended. Shelby Township Planning Commission, Jerome Moffett, Chair, Raquel Moore, Secretary. This was published in the Shelby Utica News on October 9th, 2024. There were 20 property owners, 3 applicants, and 9 utilities were notified by first-class mail on October 8th, 2024.
Thank you, Raquel. Did we get any correspondence on this?
Mr. Chair, we received 18 pieces of correspondence that was included previously in our commissioner packets. They're all opposing the rezoning, reasons stating for environmental concerns, traffic, and the drastic rezoning change from R1 to having a gas station at C2.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kirk, I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Does this notice meet all legal requirements as stipulated in local ordinance and state statute?
Yes, it does.
Thank you very much. So the format for this public hearing is going to be like the one we just went through. The petitioner or his representative will give a presentation stating the reasons for the rezoning. Commissioners may then ask questions of the petitioner. The floor will be open to the public for your comments, and then the petitioner can come forth and make any concluding remarks. I know Mr. Ruggieri is here, so come on down. Let us know the reasons for your rezoning.
Good evening, everyone. For the record, Phil Ruggieri, as the petitioner in this matter for our group. I believe in your packet you have the entire development that's there with the elevations and so forth and the site plan. But basically, as you know, I've had several different developments here in Shelby Township, and being a Shelby resident, I brought great products here, and I've had from subdivisions, commercial properties. I brought forward the Central Park development between 22 and 23, along with where Da Francesco's now exists. I was instrumental in getting that development underway. We also even have quick service restaurants. We have a large portfolio, and 3 of them here exist in Shelby. 21 in Hayes and 23 in Shaner, we have Burger King. And on 23 in the Van Dyke E-Way, we have Popeyes, which was formerly a Hardee's site, and we converted that to the Popeyes that's there. So we're very much involved as investors and as a resident of Shelby. I've been here since 1986. Now, what I proposed at this point, this property is located at the southwest corner of 26 and Shaner. It's originally just under 11 and a half acres. What I had done, I did my research during the due diligence before I acquired the property and paid for it and closed, which we have done so at this date. I researched the zoning, first of all, and the master land use plan provided for C1, convenient commercial, which allows for the widest variety of retail and service businesses under that zoning classification. We also study the traffic patterns. And during the COVID period, there was 20,000 cars per day. It's far exceeding that at this point. Traffic is already in existence. We looked at the surrounding area and the upcoming developments and also the utilities. Utilities do not exist for this site as far as sanitary and water. So we had gone ahead and spoke with DPW of Shelby Township and went to the DPW administration of Washington Township. And we came up with a proposal through my underground development team that we would temporarily tap into Washington Township under the road to the north, allow us those utilities, and then once Shelby, within the next 2 to 3 years, brings the water and sewer up Shaner Road to the north, along the east side of the property, we would then abandon our site to Washington and then tap into the Shelby site. I have a written agreement. I submitted it for the file, which outlines the terms of that situation. It also, before Washington acquiesced in that, they asked me what was I proposing. I told them exactly what we're talking about, a commercial convenience center with a gas service component. They said, fine, no problem. They liked our actual elevations and so on. So we proceeded to that level, having utilities out of the way, understanding traffic, knowing what the master land use plan zoning was allowing for, and then we followed the developments along the west side of Shaner. And as you can see, there are significant residential components coming along the way. You've got MJC, you've got Lombardo properties. There's probably 1,500-plus houses that'll be coming up on the other side of the road. You also have the other corner adjacent and across from us, which is the southeast corner. That resulted, I believe they sought the same concept of C2 with the special land use approval. They were denied. They went to court. They've got a consent judgment, which allows it the C2 with special land use. They have approximately, I think it's 10,000 square feet linear commercial with a drive-through. So now you've already set the pattern. It's there. But I was already contemplating that type of development to go on. Now, what we're doing here is presenting a purely commercial convenience center. Today's gas station worlds of the past are gone. They're no longer a tin can concept. And I'll point that out because I went driving around today in this beautiful weather. And this is what the fear is in the world today, and probably the residents. You're going to get a picture of what the typical tin can gas station looks like in the past. This happens to be a BP, which we are going to be utilizing for this site as our flag oil company. You know, metal building, large canopy, car wash attached. That car wash doesn't even get used anymore, pretty much abandoned, but very limited in space, doesn't really provide you many choices for goods, services. And that's on its way out. And the proof in the pudding is the gentleman that was the first speaker today, Mr. Zaire, happens to be on West Utica Road and DeQuinder. And what is he doing? Because he cannot continue to operate with gas only, he's asked for an expansion and he's asked for a drive-through because he's making a convenient commercial center in order to survive. So that's what he is doing, and that's exactly what we are proposing to the township. In today's world, you've got to be creative. You've got to build things that make sense for the community. And I've already done that in 2 communities. Here in Shelby Township, I built the gas station at West Utica and Ryan. It's a state-of-the-art building, far different from the tin can that you see. I've also built one on Plumbrook and Shaner. That building itself is another one that blends in nicely as a community service center with the gas station. And I'll show you what those look like. Take one for me. We'll take the Plumbrook one first. Let those get passed out. On Plumbrook and Shaner, you're surrounded by multiple residential to the south, single-family homes to the east, and a large senior complex to the north. That property is .75 acres. I was allowed to put, at that point, on that limited space, I put a 2,000 square foot building, as you can see depicted, beautiful stone, brick, $150,000 worth of landscaping done over 5 years ago. Highly successful site, blends in perfectly, and the city of Sterling Heights is very, very strict. I've been there my entire legal career. It dates back to 1980. That's about 44 years. and they're very strict what goes in there. And they allowed us to have that zoning, and as you can see, that does not look like a tin can. That building is beautiful, and we got a lot of accolades because of it. And then the second page just shows you the condominiums that are to the south. And then the last page shows you the extensive landscaping that goes all the way to the north and buffers for the senior home. So that just shows you how a building of this nature can fit into a community, which captures the characteristic that's already there. The next set of documents is right here at home, West Utica and Ryan. We built that station, I think it's about five years, roughly. As you can see, the same type of format, looks like a house or an office complex. And what it provides is extensive landscaping, good curb appeal, and then the next page shows you the landscaping, and then the distance is the condominiums to the south and to the, and abutting to the north. In fact, on the third page, you'll see the wall that we had to place as the Shelby Township requirements called for, and you can see how close those condominiums are to that gas station. And I owned all this property, and I saved an acre for the gas station, and I sold to the condominium development the northern piece. They built while we were building, and they sold out before we completed our building. So if anyone has fears about how this type of building operates in a community and meshes into the character of the surrounding area, this is proof right here in Shelby Township that this does work and it does exist. It's not manufactured. It's a beautiful development. In fact, I did the rezoning for the condos way back before any of this was here, and those condos went through some tough times, but afterwards they did very well. And with this gas station, service center, they do extremely well. The rest of the pictures just show you the proximity of those units, and all you have is a separation of a brick wall between those condos and the service station. And the reason I highlighted these units is not only for the decor, but if you look at the surrounding area, in particular here in Washington Township, everybody that generally has been complaining, aside, property owners to the south, they're worried about home values, nuisance, noise, traffic. Well, I drove by today, I did my riding around. I went to the site and I was right at the intersection, and when you take a look at the first page, I was very pleased to see what I saw. What I see is, it looks like a forest. What you see are all the buffering that was provided from the development for that subdivision to the north, where people have made overtures about problems with noise, contamination, pollution, et cetera. If you look at that, these are all matured pine trees and other type of trees that have grown over the years and provided an extensive buffer. And that was the one thing I was concerned about, was if they're worried about how it's going to impact their property, what kind of buffering can we do? Well, they've got a buffer. I went a step further. I went on their property, on the sidewalk. I didn't go on their property. But I went on the sidewalk and I took a picture of their backyard to see how this property looks towards our property on the south side of 26. So I'm on the north side looking at the backyard, and as you can see on page 2 and 3, you cannot see my property. It's totally hidden by this barrier. And if you look further, on page 4, they have an easement that is astronomical that exists between that buffer and the road. And what's that telling you? This is a future pathway for the expansion of 26 Mile Road. So they should be more in fear of how close is that road going to come to the sidewalk? How close is it going to come to their backyard? And by the way, their house is all faced to the north. Only the backyards of these homes abut 26 Mile Road. So we're looking at the rear part of their property. So if you look at these pictures, you're going to see the substantial easement that exists, and you can see all the buffering along the sidewalk to the north. These people are not even going to see our building, is my point. And when that road comes in, you talk about noise, that's where the noise is going to come in, okay? Our commercial convenient product is here to capture the 25,000 cars that go by every day. We're not adding new cars to the road. They're already there. They're going to pass by, they're going to stop in because it's commercially convenient. And what I mean by commercially convenient, today's world is different in a gas station. They just can't sell gas and make it. They've been very creative. Some years ago, they petitioned to Lansing feverishly and were able to get an STD liquor license, which allows packaged liquor to be sold. So now, every gas station is a candidate to sell alcoholic beverages. And what's gone on is a war for those licenses. Those licenses used to be $40,000 to $50,000. Well, they're now $500,000 to $550,000. The license that would go on this site is $550,000. So, but to pay that kind of money, you've got to have a product that sells and becomes profitable, right? So, in this instance, we've got a commercial convenience center that will have full liquor line, beer, wine, line, product sundries. It'll have a cafe. We're looking at hot food that will be provided, some chicken items, sandwich items, and we're also looking at a major national franchise to come in, possibly a Dunkin' Donuts would be inside the building itself. And that's why we're wanting to utilize the drive-through, because now you've got all the trappings of what residents really want. And if you think about the gas, to go to the west, you've got to go 1.8 miles to Speedway, which is Van Dyke. If you want to go to the east to get gas, you got to go 1.7 miles, and it's Kroger, which has that out gas service like they have here at 26. We're right in between. It's almost a 2-mile spread between everybody. It's a perfect fit. Because you go north, you got nothing. You go south, you got to go to 23 Mile Road. So there's no gas going up and down Shaner. And the gas is really far away over, as I indicated, east and west. I had the same problem with Plumbrook and Shaner. Everybody said, well, we put a gas station there? Well, I showed them there was nothing south on Shaner for 3 miles, and there was nothing until you got to Hall Road from Plumbrook and Shaner. It was almost another 4 miles. So they understood it, and they said, fine, and it's worked out perfectly. This is the same scenario. Now, what is it doing? It's providing commercial convenience. People want convenience today. I told you we have quick service restaurants, Burger King, Popeyes in our portfolio. As much as I hate to tell you, close to 25% of our business is Grubhub and DoorDash for fast food. So what's that telling you? People want convenience. They want things brought to their doorstep. They're actually using DoorDash to get a Whopper. They're using DoorDash to get a chicken sandwich because they just don't want to go very far. They don't even want to go that 1.8 mile to the west. They don't want to go 1.7 to the east. They want it right there, convenient. So we're handing it to them. We've got this commercial convenience operation that we've got professional people that run the whole thing with us, and it provides a lot of things that people want. And I believe in your packet you see the state-of-the-art design. We've got our team here, our architect and our engineer. We've carefully planned, and by the way, I've utilized these two gentlemen for an enormous number of zonings that I do and for other clients, and they're a tremendous team, very well respected, and they do quality work. This building has got impeccable materials and design in it, a lot of brick, a lot of nice windows. It looks like an office building, it looks like a medical building, it looks like a retail building, but it really is a commercial convenient building. The gas is more or less an ancillary use to this particular building because today you got to have both. You got to have retail, you got to have gas. Because you put the two together, you can make it work. And you're looking at about a 50-50 range on a general basis. Sometimes the retail is 60%, the gas is 40% of your overall sales. So that's why we're asking for the special land use to allow for the other components to help bring in that retail part of it. And that's why we're asking for this particular site to have the community, commercial community site. And I indicated earlier that we bought the property, it was about 11 and a half acres, okay? What I had done, after my research, I closed on it, I split the property. I took 3.5 acres to create this corner, because I knew it's commercial, or it's going to be commercial. The master land use plan allowed it to be commercial, wants it to be commercial. I kept the other 7.5 acres to the west. So, if I'm putting commercial convenience with a special land use request on the corner, who's the most impacted of all the people in the surrounding area? Me, because I'm to the west. I've got 7.5 acres left, and I certainly am not going to put something that's going to destroy or devalue my property. Okay, I'm planning that this is going to be another viable piece of land down the road. So I have the most at risk by putting in a commercial convenience because of the remaining property which we own. To the north, you've got the subdivision, highly buffered, they're Washington Township, okay? We show respect to our fellow communities, but there's nothing to worry from their end because they have the buffer. They did it before that sub was even finished. To the east, you saw what happened. You got a consent judgment because they were trying to get a commercial component there, and it got turned down, and they sued, and they're there. They've got it. This is a complementary development to that particular center. They're a lineal strip center with a drive-through. Ours is a convenience center with the gas. They don't have gas, we have gas. But the gas is limited. Originally, when we designed this property, we had 8 pumps in mind. Okay, I was starting to understand that there was some concern from residents in Washington, some people that, to the south. We cut it down to 6 pumps. And all the pumps veer off to Shaner Road. They're not on 26. The vast majority of the building and the development abuts 26 Mile Road. We are to the east along the Shaner Road. Well, I've indicated that it is complementary. It fills that gap on what's commercially convenient for the particular area. Now, I've already indicated that this is going to be a BP. This is a private development. We're not talking to Sheetz. We're not talking to Speedway. We're not talking to these big conglomerates that want to come in here. Those places are so big nowadays, they even sell clothes. Sheetz has an indoor restaurant, sit down, they sell clothes, they sell shoes, they got everything going on. That's not what we have here. This is a privately owned development, nice commercial convenient building with the gas station to serve the community. We're not looking to have a regional shopping center. Okay, so we don't have that fear. So we don't create that nuisance. That would bring in a lot of traffic, a lot of headaches. We're just trying to capture, as I said earlier, the traffic that does go up and down 26 Mile Road. And the new traffic that's going to be generated from those 1,500 houses. Oh, by the way, the consent judgment for that corner, they not only got the linear shopping center with the drive-through, they got 50 units of site condos that goes right alongside it. So now you've added that to the traffic. I'm not adding any traffic. I'm not putting condos on top of my property. I'm just going to capture what's coming along the road. Well, I indicated my illustrious team has designed a great product. I think it's got great curb appeal. I think you would agree with me. This does not look like that tin can that you saw on the first page. We are a state-of-the-art product. Let me see here. I took a lot of pictures. I want to make sure you get them all. Oh, here's one. I did the zoning. I get into some very controversial zonings, especially in my career. I did Freedom Hill. I had 3,000 people. They wanted to lynch me. I mean, I've come across a lot of antagonism. Well, this 24-mile and Shaner development, which is the southwest side of the intersection, was very contentious. You had just about everybody in the rural, rural forest subdivision come out and complain about this, thinking that their property is going to go down, it's going to bring all kinds of nasty traffic, it's going to take away the character of the neighborhood. And likewise, across the street, I did a dental office. They got it, and they're fine. But take a look at these pictures. The buildings were designed to have a characteristic that would blend in with the neighborhood. It has a lot of a household concept, okay? And they built that center despite all the protests. We were fortunate to get it rezoned, and today it's a very flourishing center. You've got the commercial component, well-received, and then you've got the medical facility further to the west, well-received, well-attended to. It turned, and I'm very pleased to say that it's a fantastic development. My clients did a great job in that regard, and it was worth the battle. But my point is, when you make a character of the building that fits into the neighborhood, you ease the fear of devaluing property, you ease the fear of taking away the spirit and intent of the neighborhood. We're not doing that. This is, with my products I've had on West Utica and on Shaner, and what we've done at 24 and Shaner, it shows you it does work. There's not even a peep from rural forest anymore about that entire development. Nobody complains. Just like Freedom Hill, you know, they're all crazy, going crazy about the noise. Well, they all go to all the concerts. So I know I'm talking a lot, but there's a lot to say. And I just wanted to emphasize that this corner warrants commercial convenience. Your master plan wasn't put there for no other reason but to plan for that in the future. We're willing to skip some of the waiting time by tapping into Washington Township. We're going to spend extra money. It costs money for that underground, and then we're going to abandon it, and then we got to redo it again. But we're willing to do that because we're anxious to get going on this. We're doing it. We're going to time it with all the development that's coming up in Shaner. And I did talk to the road commission and the head of the road commission, and he indicated to me that that entire intersection is going to have a whole new facelift. You're talking about decel lanes, expansions that are going to be happening, okay? And he's a very reliable source, and I respect him tremendously, and it's going to happen. And hopefully, we'll time it while we're doing our construction. But if not, we're still proceeding. But I just want you to know that 26 Mile Road, they've been talking about it for many years, is going to be the future Hall Road of today. So, all the residents that live on 26, you know ahead of time before you bought your house that that's a heavy traffic road already. It's a wide road. You got enormous easements in existence, and that's for future development. The roads are going to expand. So, and your backyards are butting it, thank God. So I don't want to diminish what the neighbors say. I respect them, but I can tell you that we will take every measure to buffer our site to the south for those residents and to make sure that we control our operations so it does not cause any noise pollution or any issues for those residents. Because they have a beautiful subdivision. I was in there today to visit it while I was taking my snapshots. They're very nice homes. I do other developments in Washington Township, and I certainly respect them. So I just want them to know that, you know, their positions and criticism on this development were carefully considered and integrated in our entire development. So with that, I'm going to leave it to you, and I really appreciate you listening to me. There's quite a bit I had, but, you know, I had to make the presentation because we didn't have it going on with the filming. So I'm here to answer questions. My professional team is here as well, so let me know if you need anything. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jerry. You did your client well tonight, I will say that. Now, I've got some questions before we go on real quick. There's no question from my mind or anybody else up here, I don't believe. You don't build tin cans, and I don't think anybody up here is going to question the quality of what you built. Okay, I think I want to set that for the record straight.
Yep, thank you.
But I do want to ask you a question about the property. You're asking for a rezoning, okay? You said something very interesting. You said when you split the property in 2023, you knew it would be commercial. I don't know how you know that, because I don't know how this is going to go, but why can't that property be developed as residential as it's currently zoned? Maybe not R1, but residential, because you're making a big drastic jump from R1 to C2. I
Well,
think you would admit that.
you know, I hate to say something unless you got concrete proof. Yes, my position on it is that, and as a zoning attorney and a developer and a quasi-planner, I look to the future on everything I do. You want to see what's happening. And this is a natural corner. It's in a major intersection that is going to be ripe for expansion. And all the indicators are there that this is going to be a commercial component. And by the nature of the fact that our township had placed on their master land use plan in 2017, earmarking this for a C1 commercial convenience site, that's telling me that this is absolutely a commercial site, okay? And it's looking for a commercial convenience. And I've been following the lawsuit that is across the street. I didn't want to duplicate what they're doing. I wanted to add something that fills the gap. So what I presented was the commercial convenience center with the component of the gas. It's not a gas station like you typically know. It's a combination of commercial retail and ancillary gas. It's only 6 pumps. It's not 8 pumps. So I'm not trying to be clairvoyant, but I just take a calculated guess, if you will, a professional guess, and I have my team with me. We sort through this to see if in fact that's right. And it's a truly a great corner. Now, I'll give you an example of where it's not a good spot to have something like this. And I used to live right across the street, 24 in Shaner, right across the street from the site I just showed you, where they have, you know, the commercial component and the medical office buildings. They came in there before this planning commission and the board for a gas station. And I can tell you right now, if I was sitting in your shoes or if I was on the board, I would have turned it down too. It does not fit the character of that area. I lived there for 19 years, and I'm out of there now. Now I'm at 25 in Jewel. I'm a mile from this site. And I can tell you, there's no way I would want a gas station there, because it was already developed. The residential in that particular area suited it just perfectly. It wasn't the right fit. That's not the kind of road that 25 is not like 26. It's a different thoroughfare. 26 is geared up for major changes in road system, infrastructure, et cetera. And you've got a lot going on in that direction. And you're only a mile away from gas. At 24 miles, you just go right to 23 in Shaner. You got a BP. You got the tin can right there. It's right there. So I know it's a long way to answer your question, and I'm sorry, I'm long-winded on that, but there's a lot of thinking that goes on. And I felt very comfortable saying this corner, being naturally a corner, is best suited for commercial. And you're not going to put residential on a commercial. That was the biggest argument I made at 23 in Shaner. You're not going to argue with Glenn Wynn on it back and forth. You're not going to put houses. People don't want houses on corners like that. They just don't. Now, you spread it out, you buffer it out, everything behind can be residential. You got a lot of residential to carry on along the west. That can carry on all the way down to Pearson Road or to the Van Dyke E-Way. But you don't need it on a corner. So I spun that out, and the configuration of the land is a little odd too, because it's almost like an upside down L. So I cut off that component, I squared off the westerly portion, and I just earmarked 3.5 acres on the corner. It's a true rectangular piece. And by the way, south of me, I have a wetland barrier and then you got a vacant lot, and then you got the houses that are further south. And there's going to be substantial buffering to my property to the west with detention and landscaping, et cetera. So I'm looking to the future of what to handle from a residential perspective. At the same token, you know, trying to take care of business with the commercial.
Let me ask it another way. I don't think I got a clear answer. Maybe I misunderstood it. But you split that piece off from the larger piece in 2023, is that correct?
Yeah, right. I did a land split.
Okay, so when you split that off, now the property can't be developed as residential because you split it off, correct? What I'm trying
I
to
don't
get.
think I don't think you could make it residential anyway, even if it was all together today and I didn't split it.
Let me ask it this way. By splitting it off, did you create your own hardship? Now you're coming to the planning commission asking us to rezone it.
No, it's not a hardship because I would have asked for it regardless. I would have come in with a different format. I would have said, I am not ready for the other component. I would have come in here and said, look, I'd like to make this under a plan unit development. I want this commercial, just like I'm presenting, and I want condos here because condos are a good buffer between commercial and residential. It's ideal. But I'm not doing it that way because I'm not ready for it because there's a lot of residential to the west. I may want to just sell that piece off to a single-family developer and say, why don't you add it on to your subdivision and build more homes, okay? Or someone wants to have a nice condominium development, add it on, or maybe I'll do a condominium development as a buffer, but I'm not ready for that. I'm ready for the commercial convenience. I'm ready for that now.
Now, I want to get to that
And
point.
I did talk to Shelby Township as an inquiry in my investigative period of time before I bought the land, seeing if it did make sense. And without any absolute assurances or whatever, it was all positive feedback. Okay? It's not like I just made this up and wanted to come in and say, I want some commercial. I spoke to several people, and I wanted to make sure. I mean, I even met with Julie. We talked about it. You know, there's no absolute guarantee on anything, and I was willing to take that risk. But we did discuss that, and that's why I went ahead to speed the process up, just like I'm not waiting for this water line to come up Shaner. I mean, that could come in a year from now. It could be 10 years. Who knows? You know, the government's got to have enough money to do everything. So, but I'm willing to go ahead and spend that money, hook into Washington Township. They have no problem with it. And I've got the written contract that I've laid out, and I've attached to the file. So I could have done it all at once, or did it the way I just did it now. That is separated.
Okay, bear with me a moment. I know you mentioned, I've been taking notes here. You mentioned this consent judgment 4 times. I understand the process, you understand the process, but I'm hoping we don't have to go that far. Let me ask a question of the planner. Mr. Ruggieri has talked about commercial convenience. The designation under the master plan is community commercial. Does this proposal mesh with the intent of the master plan under the community commercial designation, not necessarily the commercial convenience, but the community commercial as outlined in the 2017 plan?
So the community commercial in the master plan, the highest and best use would be a C1 zoning district, nothing more. And then as far as the southeast corner, that came in as multiple family at first with commercial. I don't think the Planning Commission had an issue with the commercial portion of it because they were proposing C1, which is consistent with the master plan. It was the multiple family portion of it that the Planning Commission wasn't,
Okay.
wasn't, with, didn't care for that because everything else was single-family residential in that area.
Okay. Again, I want to say we're not questioning your
I get
commitment
it.
to the development, Mr. Ruggieri, or the quality that you put in. I've been here long enough, I've known you long enough to know what you've done. And we appreciate what you've done. I think it's just a matter of I'm looking at this as this corner at this particular development at this time. That's what we're looking at. So
Sure. I get it.
Does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Ruggieri at this point? All right, here, you can sit down, Mr. Ruggieri, for now. Thank you. I'm going to open the floor to the public for the public hearing. However, I'm going to read this statement as I always do. If I can find it, 1 second. This is the only public hearing the Planning Commission will hold on this rezoning request. Your remarks will be entered into the record for Township Board evaluation. The Planning Commission is a recommending body. The Township Board will take into consideration all of your comments and our comments when making their final decision on the rezoning. At this time, anyone in the audience who wants to come down and speak for or against is free to do so. Just come on up to the podium, give us your name and address, and make sure you sign in when you're done, and let us know, give us your feedback on the rezoning request.
Good evening. My name's Tom Neppa. I'm at 56800 Shaner. I'm just south of the proposed area, right across the street next to the barn. You really need, the committee needs to really take in consideration all the houses that are being built east on 26 Mile Road. There's a whole subdivision getting built just south of me. There's houses gonna be built at 25 and Shaner also. And he may be driving around, but he needs to be driving around in the areas that are really important, like rush hour. I have a hard time getting in and out of my driveway at those hours. Adding a gas station is just gonna make it even more difficult. There's gonna be a lot more traffic. There's gonna be a lot of riffraff, let alone coming in and out of there at all hours of the night. The other concern I have is environmental concerns with the gas station. So that's what I have to say. I mean, the traffic alone is gonna be, I know 20, and then in regards to the southeast corner from the last meeting that I came to, there's not a thing that's been done about the traffic and the noise and the cars. And especially on the weekends, I mean, I wish you guys could put some officers out there because it's crazy. It's like a drag strip. And not alone, I don't mind the 50 mile an hour, but coming from that corner, from that light, and then I understand that Shaner's supposed to be done north of 26 Mile Road too. It's gonna get paved. It's just gonna make it even more chaotic. So that's my concern.
Okay, thank you. Make sure you sign in. We're the wrong body to talk to about police, though, just so you know. We don't control that. There's no pen? Oh, okay. You're all set. Anyone else wish to speak? Come on down, sir. Name and address, please.
Yep, my name is Jeff Tarowski. I live at 57287 Covington Drive, Washington Township, which is the Stonebriar subdivision at the northwest quadrant of 26 and Shaner. I received a letter notice about this meeting, and I came here to voice my opinion that this lot should remain zoned as single-family residential. My opinion is based off of three main facts. One, it is an unnecessary change. As he mentioned himself, Mr. Ruggieri, if I go 1.5 miles west, I've got a ton of commercial property. I've got 3 gas stations. I've got retail shops to service the area. If I travel 1 mile east to in the area of question, there's a lot more retail shops. There's another gas station. There's a Kroger gas station and some other brand. It's just not necessary. Traffic in the area is very much, as Mr. Ruggieri mentioned, heavy at times. We do not need to add injury to the situation with more commercial property to further increase that traffic and noise. I take some offense to Mr. Ruggieri's comments that he made mention a couple of times of that the citizens want this. I am one of the citizens. I am one of the people that live here, and I've lived here for 12 years. I do not want this. My third main point is that I strongly believe that this change would decrease property values in the area. I know that I don't want to pull into my subdivision while staring at another shopping center or gas station or 24/7 convenience store. Myself and most everyone that I've spoken to in our subdivision specifically chose our subdivision as a place to live for its serenity and its separation from the commercial hustle and bustle that is immediately located in the surrounding areas. Losing that quality would certainly have a negative impact on our property values and my personal happiness with the area. And lastly, I'll finish with the fact that the current zoning of this area as residential was a deliberate decision that was made in the past by other board members such as yourselves, who thought that residential was the proper designation for this property, and they did not see a need for more commercial property. Myself and my neighbors that I've spoken to and others around me still feel that way, and I hope that you'll consider those feelings when making your decision.
Thank you. Anyone else from the floor wish to speak for or against?
Good evening, Board. How are we doing today?
Great, how are you?
Okay. Well, I live 2 houses south of this project.
What's your name and address? Name and address.
I'm sorry?
Name and address?
Oh, my name's Tom Corey. I live 56825 Shaner Road. And
Go ahead.
I'm the second house south of this project. We've had a bunch of stuff go on around there, and with that there doing this, he's got all the pictures, everything to the north. These guys is buffers that he's talking about. Anytime you want to go down 26 Mile Road, you can look at any one of these neighbors' house on the north side of the road. To the south, there's a guy that, well, it'd be my neighbor to the north of me. The big house he built there, he has a big deck that's outside of his bedroom. And it's going to be like you stand up there, look at this laptop with all the lights shining. He ain't even going to be able to sleep at his house because he only has, I think it's 40, I think it's, maybe 50 foot to the property line. And then that's where the gas station is going to start at and be there. There's no water, there's no sewer. He gets to hook up to Washington's Township. How come we can't? There's neighbors on Shaner Road there that don't even have water. They have water pumped in barrels. They have the water trucks show up and fill up, so they have water to run the dishwasher. Because we don't know when water's coming up Shaner, and you know that, and I know that. That's part of we live there, and all of us are on septic and wells. And if anything happens over there, that water, the gas is all going south. It's going to contaminate the wells. And so, I mean, there's, like you said, there's 3 gas stations to the west, major gas stations, big ones, and there's to the east, there's a big mobile, and we got Speedway, or you got the Kroger's going on up there. So, I mean, we understand everything is going to start happening and growing around there, and we got bigger eggs to fry on the other side of the street. That's coming. So, I thank you for listening to us, and hope you guys make the right decision.
Thank you, Tom. Please sign in before you leave. Anyone else? Come on down, sir.
Good evening. My name is Dan Ivanovic. I live at 6338 Bay Point Drive, Washington Township. I think this project is exactly what we need in this area. It's a convenience center. It's not a tin can. I've seen Mr. Ruggeri's projects before. They're impeccable. They're masonry, glass, stone. I think it would look very nice in this corner, and I don't think this is going to, increase any traffic at all. The traffic's already there. If anything, it might slow things down. People come in and out. I'm totally for this project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Make sure you sign in. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name's Todd Chester. I live at 56789 Shaner, just south of where they want to put the gas station. These guys listed most of the stuff that's the issue, but mainly it's going to be traffic. So I don't know if you guys are able to take a trip before you make a decision, but if you go up and down 26 Mile or Shaner at any time, it's 2-lane traffic. It's already a mess. It's a racetrack on that corner. He mentioned that there's gas stations on both corners or a mile away. If they put a gas station right there, there'll be a house right next to it and a house on the other side, which the lights and all that too. So, can I ask Mr. Ruggiero a question?
You can ask through the chair, and I can bring it back up to him, yes.
Well, he mentioned convenience, and he lives at 25 and Jewel, beautiful road. Since I've lived there, it's very beautiful. My question would be, would you put a gas station for convenience? You know, if you want to go get liquor or gas, would you put it next to your house? We moved out there because Shelby has a reputation of being beautiful, serene, all that, and it was. What they're doing across the street is sort of, we had a potluck yesterday with the neighbors. People have lived there 45 years, said it's insane what they're doing. Now, that's progress, I understand. I understand the owner trying to get as much value out of his property as possible. That's, anybody would. But as far as the people that live there, it's the opposite of what he's saying, I'm sorry. So, and then if they do make a decision on the other corner, which we were here for that too, I don't get it. Now, one thing that hasn't been mentioned was a school. There's a big, beautiful elementary school down at the 25 in Shaner. You cannot go that way. At school times, you cannot go that way, so you have to take 26 Mile. We have a parking lot out in front of our house. So we're trying to block as much as we can, just so we don't see the traffic, let alone hear the traffic. We can hear it in the backyard, okay? So just the traffic there alone is bad, and it's only gonna get worse. North of there, you have a dirt road. So until they open up the roads, add water, and obviously got around the water and sewage, we have septic and well water. Until they address that, I don't see how they could rezone that to be commercial, in my mind. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Kleeman, 22 Mile Road in Shelby. I think petitioner is correct. 26 Mile Road, I don't think there's any secret, is going to be the next thoroughfare. Hall Road, go north to 23. And the next one, the exit 53, is 26 Mile Road. You can see the businesses that's already developed on there. I seen his want of this convenience center, and I thought, boy, these gas stations they're building anymore aren't even a gas station. They're an upscale market that happens to sell gas. So I thought, is there another one coming? But if you look at it, 24 Mile from Van Dyke to Hayes, 25 Mile from Van Dyke to Hayes, 26 Mile from Van Dyke to Hayes, I haven't seen one of these there. So I don't think that he's flooding the market with it. I think there's a need for it there, actually. And with that traffic, he's right. Normally it's you build it and they will come. In his case, they've already built it. He should just capture that traffic that's already there. I don't think that he's going to add to it. He's going to benefit from what's there. So in my eyes, I think it's a good idea for Shelby.
Thank you. Come on down, ma'am.
Good evening. I apologize for my voice, getting over a cold. Kathy Quirk, 13211 Wyndham Drive in Washington Township. So I live in the Stonebriar sub, and I've been there for 20 years. I would concur with my neighbor's point about the reasons that my husband and I moved to that area. And you think about Mary's Garden along that road or Goikie's Farm Market, those were some of the amenities that drew us to that feel. I certainly understand the concept of progress and what you have to deal with, but I really do feel that that particular setting has a lot of disconnect. The proposal has a lot of disconnect with the setting. I would think that just naturally knowing that it's going to be a fuel station has its own environmental concerns and risks. People have already addressed that as well. Someone mentioned the school. We're talking a lot of school buses. Not only do they go down to Beck, but they go over to Duncan. So that is already an intense building, traffic intersection that has our children being, traveling on those roads. And it will be a complicated intersection just by the, entrance to the property and the egress and all of those kinds of things, people accessing the gas station. So that would be a concern with me, the proximity to the schools. And the safety, I didn't hear anyone mention, but I was assuming we're talking 24 hours. So that now we're talking about just what I would consider a natural safety issue. When all of us know that things happen in the dark of night or the late of night, and so you're going to be needing more police oversight at that time, at those various times of days. That would be a concern to me as well. Someone mentioned the light pollution, and with it being 24 hours, I would ask you, I would beg you to put yourselves in that position and think about being any one of those 8 or 10 houses that are going to be directly across the street and having them be subjected to that 24 hours a day. I heard Mr. Regari mention that they're going to put food in there. Now we're going to talk about smell pollution. I don't really want to be in my subdivision smelling frying chicken. It's going to waft. And even as much as I love donuts, I don't want to smell donuts being baked at all times of the day. So that is a consideration you need to think about. That is going to impact our community. There is that nature preserve that a number of volunteers worked very, very hard to establish, to be appreciated by the residents. I think it's the Nature Association. And now, again, I use the word disconnect. Think about what's going to be on that corner in this proposal, and a mere, I don't know what, 100 yards down the road is going to be a nature preserve area. I don't agree that this push for having to have it right now and right there is a rationale or a motivation for going forward with this. So I'd ask you to seriously consider not accepting the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak?
John Menino, 8049 Pine Creek, Shelby Township. I don't see the lighting being a problem. I mean, I like well-lit gas stations. I mean, most people at night or whatever, they have their blinds or whatever shut down. As far as the smell, like this lady was saying, I've never smelled a gas station fried chicken or anything like that. As far as traffic, I don't see the 8 cars or 10 cars that are going to be taken off the street in the gas station. If you go to a gas station, there's 10 cars there, you're going to go to the next one, or you're going to go to one down the street, whatever. But we all need gas. We all need gas stations. I mean, I think Mr. Jerry builds a great property. They all look nice. Everything he's built has looked nice. You guys wouldn't let him if it didn't. So I would agree with him to hopefully you guys let him do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ray DeBuck, 55.
Move the mic up, please, so we can hear you. Thank you.
Ray DeBuck, 55228 Benson Court. I'm for it. I think Phil does a great job of building. I think it's going to help the community out a lot, as far as stopping in and taking care of gas and everything. So that's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Going once, twice, 3 times or out. Mr. Ruggieri, come back down, please. Go back through some of the concerns raised from the public.
sure.
One is the environmental concern, a legitimate issue when we're talking about wells in the area. What's your response to that?
Well, they have come a long way with the tanks themselves. They are so contained. They have no leakage whatsoever from those particular portions of where the gas is stored. They have all kinds of quality control for any of the drops that come off your nozzles and so on and so forth. And I don't know if one of you gentlemen wanted to answer that. Perhaps Andy, our engineer, could. But I don't see that to be an issue. I think it's a non-issue. They may have, there's the houses to the south. They may have a septic and they have the well system, but I don't think we're going to have any issue with that. And Andy can confirm that. I'd like to address the light. We have a photometric plan already in place. Everything is self-contained on the property. It's not going to deflect at all to those neighbors. And I believe the one gentleman indicated, Mr. Menino, there's no smell coming from these stations. A lot of this stuff is, they're sandwiches or prepared things, or they're heat up inside the building. Even if they have chicken and the donuts are not made there, they're brought there. So we don't have the big baking going on, and the chicken is very limited. It's more the heat-up type, but even if they cook it, it doesn't create an enormous scent. I do want to address one major concern that I have is a majority of the people that spoke tonight are from Washington Township, okay? I'm from Shelby Township. I own this property, I pay taxes on it, and I have a right to develop it. People in Washington Township do not pay taxes here. And I don't see that, I respect them and I defer to their comments, and I don't want to diminish everything they have to say, but in all my years, I've never had such a representation from a bordering community come in and be as vocal as they have. I mean, the limited number of people that came here, and I have a difficult time having a community that does nothing absolutely for our taxes and for our needs to come in here and voice their opinion. And they're well protected. We went above and beyond to protect whatever they have in Washington Township, because that's just the way we run. But I have a little, I want to say that I have a gripe about that.
Well, I would say First Amendment applies to everyone regardless of where you live. That would just be I understand your point, and a point taken, but we're not going to limit people who come down and speak.
No, I get it, and that's why we were careful in our development to address it, so.
I understand. Now, there were other issues. One was brought up about the hours of operation.
Hours of operation, it's not a 24-hour store. Some of the stores that have been operated are that. We do not want that here. We're looking at Monday through Friday. We're looking at, instead of 6 a.m., they would start at 7 a.m., and that would be till midnight. That'd be Monday through Saturday. On Sunday, it would be from 7 to 10 p.m.
So Monday through Saturday.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Monday
7 to
through
12.
Saturday would be 7 a.m. to midnight, and on Sunday, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay. Now, there was a question raised about the location near the nature reserve.
I'm not so sure where that's at. I seen an area that's cut out for some parking. Is that what they call the nature center? Oh, that's pretty significantly south of us.
South of the 4 homes.
Okay, south of the 4 homes, yeah, that's where I saw it today. That's not even near us.
Okay.
We have zero impact on that.
It was brought up, that's why I'm asking
No,
the
I get
question.
it, no problem.
There was also a question raised, let me get the, he wanted to ask you directly. I said, you can ask me. It was about, would you build a gas station near your house?
Well, I'm
Do
not
you
on
wanna respond to
26
that?
Mile Road. I'm not on 26 Mile Road.
Well, I know that, but his question was, would you want a gas station right by your house? Do you want to answer that?
If I lived in his house, yes. At that location, yes.
Okay, hold on, we're not going to have from the floor, so hold on. Okay, all right, you answered the
And I
question.
just have Andy, do you want to address it?
Yeah, do you want to address the environmental issue?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. You got to admit it's a legitimate concern, especially when you're talking about wells, but go ahead.
Absolutely. Andy Wakeland, Giffords Webster, the site civil. I guess we would just say that the environmental, being a gas station, is highly regulated through the state and would be more regulated than most of the C1 or any C2 businesses that would go in if it were another use. So the gas station, I guess the engineering behind it has come a long way for sure. So I don't feel that there would be an issue, but they've made great strides in the last, 5-10 years even.
Okay, thank you. Any other commissioners have any questions? Mr. Ruggieri?
Yes,
I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Lisa. Come on up, Phil. Back. Go ahead.
So, question about the facade. I know the other one at Plumbrook looks like a 2-story building, and this looks like a 2-story. Are they usable 2-story, or is that just for ambiance and curb appeal?
It's for ambiance. It's it's a 1-story building, looks like 2-story, but it's 25 feet in height, correct, Mark? It's 25 feet in height, which is equivalent to this being basically 2 colonials put together. It's the same height as a colonial or a split level in all the surrounding housing in the area. but it's not utilized as a two-story building.
Okay, thank you. Also, just as a point for the residents, Shaner Road is going to be widened between 23 and 25 Mile Road, starting in 2026. And we are working our darndest to get funding for widening Shaner Road from 25 to 26 Mile Road, just for information. The traffic is going to be generated by the homes that are being built in section 1 and 2 anyway. And it's a huge development, a square mile, and we know it's coming, and we've worked diligently to provide a good fitting for single-family homes for all residents, different sizes of homes, make it appealing. We worked hard with the developers there, so the traffic is going to be there anyway. I wanted to know, Mr. Ruggieri, if you have met with the residents to the south of the property, because I know from your experience that you would provide a buffer, whatever they requested, whatever they need. I know you would provide that. I wondered if you've met with them to
I haven't met with the residents to the south, but as you know, I'm always open to accommodate the residents, and we'll provide whatever buffer that they would require or they would ask of us, substantial trees, et cetera. We would put that in there so they don't have to even see the building. We'd make it look like what Washington Township looks like.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else have any questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Larray, go ahead.
Looking at the landscape plan presented before us, I do not see a substantial buffer along 26 Mile. There is a substantial buffer on the subdivision across the street, which is beautiful, and I would feel that if we would consider the rezoning of this property, that we would provide the same buffer on 26 Mile as well as on Shaner. Personally, I do not feel that this property should be zoned commercial. I think C1 is in question, but C2 for this particular corner seems a bit aggressive. In terms of traffic, I would agree that it's not adding specifically traffic to this intersection. However, the approaches on both 26 Mile and Shaner, to me, seem a concern of the egress and ingress in terms of the traffic it can cause to those intersections.
That's it? Okay, thank you.
Did you want me to address that, or?
Go ahead, sure.
Yeah, we certainly would entertain with the administration as well as the neighbors about the proper buffering. I just want to point out that we modified the request from a straight rezoning to convention or the contract zoning or conditional zoning, because that way we're locked in contractually to build exactly what we propose, which would be the elevation, site plan, landscaping, and floor plans. So that locks us in, even though, and we have to go the C2 route with the special land use, it's just the requirement of the ordinance. But that doesn't mean we want to go in there and put something other than what we're proposing and getting some uses that would not be desirable. So that's the only reason we're asking for the C2 and the special land use, is because this type of product falls under that classification. But we will lock ourselves into what we propose tonight, and it's in our package.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? All right, Julie, you want to make your report on this?
Thank you, Chairman.
Thanks, Phil.
So I think we reviewed this site extensively. There's a couple other sections of the ordinance that apply to this, which is section 4.21 and 4.28. One is the outdoor merchandising with the ice chest and propane tanks that also goes along with the gas station, and also the section 4.21, which covers the gas station portion of this as far as site requirements. As far as the special land use standards, like we said before, are required based on the use itself. And the gas stations are special land use in the C2 zoning district, and also the drive-through portion proposal for this as well. Major one screening is required along the boundaries with the single-family residential district. I believe that to the south there's a significant amount because there is a drain there and also some wetlands. However, the appropriate screening was not provided along the western property line, western and southern property line. Also, approval from Eagle is going to be required for work in their easement. So we do have some comments here for the site plans that are technical comments that I'm sure that if the Planning Commission is inclined to approve this, that we can overcome. However, as far as it relates to the master plan, the proposed request is not consistent with the master plan designation. As you asked me earlier, Mr. Turner, the master plan calls for community commercial, which is a C1 zoning district, and that is the highest and best use for that area. I believe I clarified myself on the 26, the southeast corner of 26 and Shaner, and the request for that area. But as far as that goes, I don't think there's a question that, maybe commercial is appropriate for this area, but the highest and best use of this fueling station may not be quite as appropriate for it. We're not arguing that maybe some sort of commercial is, would be, compatible with our master plan and recommended by our master plan. But again, like I said, this requires 2 special land use and a rezoning for the proposed use. That's all I have.
That's it. Thank you, Julie. Mr. Ruggieri, do you have any closing comments?
No, I think we've covered it pretty thoroughly. A lot of questions, and I appreciate Julie's comments as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other commissioners have anything they'd like to add? If not, I hear a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Planning Commission's decision on this rezoning must be based on the following: the practicality of this rezoning request and the effect on the surrounding area, the owner's right to use his land, do current growth and development patterns warrant this rezoning, and is the proposed rezoning in accordance with the master plan. The Planning Commission may recommend approval, disapprove the plan, or recommend tabling this to receive the information, evaluate the information we've received this evening. Motion is in order.
Mr. Chairman,
Lisa, go ahead.
I move to recommend approval to the Township Board for conditional rezoning and site plan special land use number 24-04 Phil Ruggieri, Shaner 26 Properties LLC, vacant parcel number 23-07-02-200-3-034, located on the southwest corner of 26 Mile Road and Shaner Road. Proposed rezoning from R1 Single Family Residential to C2 Linear Retail Commercial, and site plan special land use for proposed gas station with drive-through based on the following. Number 1, the change would not adversely impact any abutting development. Number 2, the change in zoning is not out of scale with the needs of the community. Number 3, adequate access has been provided by way of an entrance off 26 Mile Road and Shaner. Number 4, the submission of 8 copies of revised site plan is required, incorporating applicable review comments from the Planning Commission, Township Department, and engineers. And number 5, the special land use request affirmatively meets the standards set forth in section 6.5.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Casale, supported by Commissioner Apone. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Commissioner Casale?
Yes.
Commissioner Apone?
Yes.
Commissioner LeRae?
No.
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Commissioner Long?
No.
Commissioner Baker?
No.
Commissioner Moore?
No.
And chair votes no. Motion denied. Is there another recommendation, motion they want to make? Does anyone else want to make a motion? If not, we will pass this on to the Township Board with no recommendation from the Planning Commission, I guess, at that point. Okay?
I have a logistical, I have a question
Go
on
ahead, Lisa.
on
Yep.
procedural question
Yep,
here.
go ahead.
Do we as a board then need to, one of two things, if we then, someone will deny, whoever voted no is going to deny this petitioner, and they then have the right to go to the Township Board?
Go ahead, Bob.
It still goes to the Township Board.
Either way. With or without a recommendation, it will go to the Township Board.
Correct. It's just we have no recommendation as a Planning Commission since the motion was to approve. We're not sending unless someone wants to make another motion, it's going to the Township Board with no recommendation from the Commission.
Thank you. I just wanted that to be clear.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Snyder?
So the next, if someone makes another recommendation, it will supersede that, the last vote?
Well, the last one was denied. So if we want to give a recommendation that will pass to the township board, we make a motion, and then we take a vote on that and see if that recommendation is taken to the township board. If not, since it was denied, it'll go to the township board with a neutral recommendation from the planning commission. So that's why I asked, does anybody want to make another motion? If not, then it will be a neutral recommendation.
I'll make a motion then.
Go ahead, Mr. Snyder.
Yeah, I move to postpone conditional rezoning and site plan special land use for Vilregere vacant, or Shaner 26 Properties LLC, vacant parcel to, number 23-07-02-200-034, located on southeast corner of 26 Mile Shaner Road. Proposed rezoning from R1 Single Family Residential to C2 Linear Retail Commercial, and site plan special land use for the proposed gas station with drive-through based on giving applicant an opportunity to address planning commission, department, and engineering comments.
Is there a second to that motion? Is there a second to the motion? Is there a second to the motion? Hearing no second, motion dies for lack of support. Anyone else want to make another motion? There's one more left. Anybody want to make one? If not, then
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Moore?
I'd like to recommend denial to the Township Board for conditional rezoning and site plan special land use for 24-04 for Phil Ruggieri, Shaner 26 Properties LLC, vacant parcel number 23-07-02-200-034, located on the southwest corner of 26 Mile Road and Shaner Road. Proposed rezoning from R1 Single Family Residential to C2 Linear Retail Commercial, and site plan special land use for a proposed gas station with drive-through based on the following. Number one, the proposed change in land use is not consistent with the 2017 Shelby Township Master Plan. Number two, the proposed use is not designated, located, planned, and to be operated, that the public health, safety, and welfare will be protected of the surrounding area. Number three, the change in zoning is out of scale with the needs of the community and zoning ordinance. Number four, the proposed use of the site for a fueling station along with the drive-through is not consistent with the development pattern in the area of the township and will have an adverse effect. Number five, the applicant has not demonstrated that the property cannot be developed as currently zoned. Number six, the special land use request does not affirmatively meet the standards set forth in section 6.5 based upon the findings. Number seven, the proposed use does not harmoniously fit for that location due to the part of the special land use standards because of the site layout, periods of operation that's being proposed. It will become a nuisance to the public in the surrounding residential area. The hereby use, because of these reasons, of the noise, fumes, vibrations, smoke, or lights. And number eight, as our planning director had mentioned, this property is the best use, if it is going to be rezoned, would be community commercial.
Support.
Lisa, was that you? Okay. Motion by Commissioner Moore, supported by Commissioner Baker. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Commissioner Moore?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder?
No.
Commissioner Long?
Yes.
Commissioner LeRae?
Yes.
Commissioner Apone?
No.
Chair votes yes.
Commissioner Casali?
Casali, I'm sorry, Lisa, go ahead. No. All right. I didn't mean to overlook you. I looked over there and didn't see you. I'm really sorry. So the motion to deny will be recommended to the Township Board now for consideration for the rezoning. Okay, we're all clear on that. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ruggieri. Julie, Planning Director's report.
I don't have anything, Chairman.
Nothing?
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Anyone have any questions from the, comments from the floor? Anybody? If not, Mr. Snyder?
Move to adjourn.
Up. Come on up to the podium, please.
I just meant to mention that property.
Name and address again, please.
Oh, Todd Chester, 56789 Shaner. That property directly abuts and up next to the Nature Center. So his property goes all the way to the Nature Center. So if you didn't know it was there, maybe you didn't drive down Shannon Road. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, thank you. Anything else from the floor? If not, Mr. Snyder, again, your motion's to,
Move to
is there
adjourn,
a
Mr.
second?
Chair.
Supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Good night, everyone. Thanks for watching.